Welcome to my kitchen, where I turn ordinary lessons into extraordinary adventures. Today, we're going to have a math lesson with baking chocolate chip cookies. Yes, you heard me right. Math in the kitchen. Have you ever looked around your kitchen and noticed things like measuring cups or measuring spoons or cups that look like this? Take a closer look at them. What do you see on them? What do you notice? That's right, fractions. Fractions are everywhere. They're in the kitchen, they're at construction sites, they're in money, they're everywhere. So today, we're actually gonna take a close look at fractions in the kitchen. Okay, I'm gonna start with my chocolate chip cookie recipe, which I have right here. My first ingredient is 2 1/2 cups flour. So let's take a look at that. 2 1/2 cups. So I need my 1 cup and I need my 1/2 cup because that's what it says, 2 1/2 cups. Look at these measuring cups. What do you notice? What's the same and what's different? Pause the video and think about that. You can even grab a piece of paper and write some notes. All right, now what I'm gonna show you is I'm gonna show you my fraction tile. I have a bunch of fraction tiles here to help us see the difference between, or see similarities between measuring cups and fraction tiles. Okay, I'm gonna put my 1 whole here. This is 1 whole. This is 1 cup. What's the same? What's different? 1 whole is also the same as 1 cup. Okay, now I'm gonna take a look at this measuring cup. It says 1/2. All right, I'm gonna take my fraction tile of 1/2 and I'm gonna put it up here next to my 1 whole. What do you notice? Is there anything that's the same? Is there anything different? Okay, I can see that 1/2 is less than 1 whole. So, what I want to figure out is how many halves does it take to make 1 whole? Can I get enough 1/2s to even make a whole? Well, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my flour, which is right here. I'm gonna take my 1/2 measuring cup, and then I'm gonna take this glass measuring cup, because this is gonna help me measure how much flour. Because I wanna see how much flour of 1/2 can make 1 whole. Okay, when I measure flour, I make sure that it's even with the top. I don't want it heaping up above it. So I'm gonna go ahead and dump it in. Okay, here it says 1 cup. Does 1/2 make 1 cup? No. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and add another 1/2. All right, when I add my other 1/2, am I at 1 cup now? Yes. So, is it fair to say that 2 halves, or 2 cups of 1/2, is the same as 1 whole? Yes, you're right. These two are equivalent. So, by measuring out 2 1/2 cups of flour, it is the same as 1 whole. We also call this equivalent fractions. 2 1/2 is equivalent to 1 whole. I can also write it as a fraction. I'm gonna grab my whiteboard. All right, here's my whiteboard. So if I go ahead and write 1 whole, there's my 1 whole, And then I'm gonna put 2 on top because that's my numerator. And I did 2 cups of 1/2. And my denominator is a 2 because it was a 1/2 cup. When we have the same numerator and the same denominator, this is still one whole. So these 2 fractions are actually equivalent because I can fit 2 1/2s inside of one whole. All right, let's take a look at something else. All right, the next part of my recipe that I'm gonna take a look at is 3/4 sugar. Okay, I'm gonna grab a bowl. Whenever we make cookies, we start with our wet ingredients. Sugar is considered a wet ingredient. So I'm gonna put it inside this pink bowl. Now, because my fraction, my denominator has a 4, I'm gonna look for the measuring cup that has a denominator of 4. And that is this one right here. Now, if you look at my recipe, my numerator is 3. So I need 3 of these, okay? So I'm gonna go to my sugar now, and I'm gonna measure out. Help me count. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I have 3/4 cup sugar. Now when I look at my recipe, I have 3/4 cup brown sugar. Okay, 3/4 and 3/4. Are those fractions equivalent? Let's take a look at it on the whiteboard. Okay, so I'm gonna write 3/4 cup sugar for my white sugar, and then 3/4 cup brown sugar. Take a look at this. What do you notice? Is there anything that's the same? Is there anything that's different? Let's go ahead and take a look at it with the fraction tiles now. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and put my 3/4 up here. So that's 2/4, and then 3/4. Okay. This is what 3/4 look like in fraction tiles. Now, if I were to have another set of fraction tiles to show 3/4 for my other sugar, they would actually be equivalent. So these fractions are actually the same. Now, if I look at this next to a whole, are these equivalent? Why or why not? What do you notice? Pause the video, take some notes. No, these fractions are not equivalent. As you can visually see, 3/4 is actually less than one whole. So these are not equivalent. But if I add one more fraction tile of 1/4, are they equivalent now? Yes, they are. Okay, let's go ahead and put our brown sugar now in. Now when it comes to brown sugar, here is a baking tip. You have to pack your brown sugar into the measuring cup. So I'm just gonna take this measuring spoon and I'm gonna pack it down. Now you don't want it to be heaping. It can't be piled up off the cup. I'm gonna make sure it's even with the rim. All right, count with me. 1. Now I need a second one because I need 3/4 and I'm using my 1/4 cup. Okay, 2. Now I need a third one. And 3. All right, this is what it looks like to have 3/4 cup white sugar and 3/4 cup brown sugar. Going back to our 3/4 cup brown sugar and 3/4 cup white sugar, what makes these equivalent? Think about that. What makes them equivalent is that we have the same amount of pieces in each fraction, or same amount of 1/4 cup in each fraction. Okay, I'm going to take a look now at the next part. I need 1 teaspoon salt. Okay, so 1. I know now that 1 is a whole. So if I look at my measuring cups and different items here, I see this. This has a 1. Is this it? If I come over here to my salt, do I really need this much salt in my cookie recipe? That's a lot of salt. If I look at the recipe again, it says TSP. That stands for teaspoon. Is this a teaspoon? No, it's not. Okay, if I look around, oh, I found this one. This is a teaspoon, but it says 1/4. Huh. Is this the same as this one? They both say 1/4, but this one's smaller and this one's bigger, but they have the same fraction. Oh my goodness, what do I do? If we think about the fraction, 1/4 and 1/4 is the same. But when we're measuring, these two items are different. This is obviously measuring 1/4 of a teaspoon, which is a different type of measurement. And this is measuring 1/4 of a cup. So a cup is bigger than a teaspoon, but the fractions are the same. 1/4 is the same as 1/4, but how it looks in measurement is different. Okay. Well, I still need 1 teaspoon. Let's say I don't have 1 teaspoon. What do I do? Okay, well, if the numerator is the same as the denominator, that makes a whole, right? So if my denominator is 4, then my numerator needs to be 4, and that would make a whole. So would that make 1 teaspoon? Let's see. Okay, I'm going to use one of my cups to measure it out. All right, so, okay, I'm going to do 4 of these. Count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I just measured out 4 1/4. If I look at my fraction tile, I measured out this. 4 of these is what went into this right here. And I'm just using this to hold the salt. Okay, now I'm going to take a look at my teaspoon. Here is 1 teaspoon. Let's see if 4/4 of a teaspoon fills 1 teaspoon. Let's try it. Oh, look. It does. It filled my entire teaspoon. So, is it okay for me to say that 1 teaspoon is equivalent to 4/4 of a teaspoon? Let's take a look at that on my whiteboard. So I put 4 1/4 teaspoon into this. So I'm going to write that. My numerator is a 4 because I did 4 of them. My denominator is a 4 because that's what I have on my teaspoon. Okay, now I have 1 teaspoon. Is 4/4 the same as 1 whole? Yes, it is. All right, so are these fractions equivalent? Yes, they are. Okay, so that tells me I have measured this out correctly, so I can add it to my ingredients now. So I'm gonna grab my bowl. Salt is a wet ingredient, even though it's not wet. It goes in with the wet ingredients. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna dump that in. All right? Okay, let's take a look at the next part. Okay, if I look at my recipe, I now need 1 teaspoon baking soda. Okay, let me look around at what I have here. I'm gonna start with my fraction tiles again. I need 1 whole again, but this time I need a teaspoon. Okay, here is my teaspoon. I am not gonna choose my 1 cup because that's a cup and this is a teaspoon. Okay, so I need 1 teaspoon baking soda. Baking soda is actually a dry ingredient. So baking is like chemistry. I'm gonna add my baking soda to my dry ingredients. So I'm gonna take this bowl, I'm gonna set it here off to the side, and I'm gonna grab my dry ingredients bowl. All right, I'm gonna measure out 1 teaspoon. Okay, this is what 1 teaspoon of baking soda looks like. All right, is 1 teaspoon equivalent to 3/4? We measured out 3/4 earlier for our sugar. And just to take a look at that again, I'm gonna put this up. Here's 3/4 again. And if I show 1 teaspoon, are they equivalent? No, they are not. Even though we have different sizes of measurements, our fractions, we're still looking at equivalent fractions. All right, I'm gonna dump my 1 teaspoon into my dry ingredients bowl. There we go. Is 1 teaspoon equivalent to 1 teaspoon? If I had 2 of these, would they be equivalent? Think about it. Why would they be equivalent? Yes, they would be equivalent. I want to show you something else. If I go back to my fraction tiles, I have 1 whole. I'm also going to pull out a different way of showing a fraction. I have a bar fraction tile here. Now, if you're learning fractions in school, you'll actually use bar models and you'll use pie models. And so these are still equivalent. It's just different ways of representing 1 whole. So here I have 1 whole and here I have 1 whole. Even though they look different, they are still equivalent. Okay, now we need to take a look at the flour. We haven't added that one yet. So if I look at my recipe, it says 2 1/2 cup flour. Okay, if I look at what I have here, I've got a 1/2, I've got a 1 whole, I've got 1/4, but this is really confusing because this fraction, I have a whole number and then I have a 1/2. So for the 2, I need 2 cups, but then I need 1/2. But what I want you to think about, let's pretend for a minute that my kids have done the dishes and they didn't put my 1 cup measuring cup away in the right spot and I can't find it. So I'm just gonna set it off over here and I'm gonna pretend like it doesn't exist, okay? All right, all I have now then is my 1/2. How am I gonna measure out 2 1/2 cups flour? Okay, let's do this. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna dump this back in my flour bucket, and I'm gonna show you on my cup. It measures up to 2 cups here. I'm gonna take my 1/2, and I'm gonna see how many I need of this to fill up to 2 cups, and if it will even fit in there evenly. I don't want too much, and I don't want too little. So let's see. We're gonna experiment. Okay. And with flour, you don't want it heaping. You want it even with the rim. So I have 1. Is it up to 2 cups? No. Okay. 2. Is it up to 2 cups now? No, but it is up to 1 cup. That's interesting. What do you notice about that? What are your thoughts? Okay, let's keep going. I'll measure another one. Okay. Am I up to 2 cups now? No, I've put 3 of these in now. Okay, let me put some more in. All right, here's another one, my 4th one. Is it up to 2 cups now? Yes, it is. So how many 1/2 cups fit into 2 cups? Think about it. How many of these did I count out? Okay, let's look at it on the whiteboard. So I measured out 4, which is my numerator, because I did 4 halves. My denominator is a half. Okay, and then I had 2 cups. It filled up to 2 cups. Are these equivalent? How many 1/2 cups fits into 1 whole? Let's use the fraction tiles if we're not sure. So I'm going to pull them back out. I'm going to leave my 1 whole here on the side. Here's my half. Here's another half. How many halves fit into 1 whole? That's right. 2 fit into 1 whole. So if I have 2 wholes, how many 1/2s fit into 2 wholes? You're right. 4 1/2s fit into 2 wholes. So our numerator is a 4 and our denominator is still a 2. Are these equivalent? Yes, they are equivalent. All right. Now, I am still missing 1/2 cup of flour. If I add it to this, it's going to make it go over. It'll be more than 2 cups. But then it won't be quite 3 cups because it's only a half. So now what I have is, let's pretend like I have 2 of these wholes. Okay? I need 1 more half to complete my recipe. It's not a full cup. Okay? So if I look now, if I change this, are those equivalent now? No, they are not. These are now not equivalent because this one has more than this. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and add my flour to my dry ingredients. Here's my dry ingredients bowl. I'm gonna add that, and then remember, I'm still missing 1/2 cup. So I'm gonna go ahead and add that one in. There we go. Okay, so whenever I'm baking, I like to double check my ingredients to make sure that I've gotten everything. Okay, flour, check. Baking soda, check. Salt, I can't remember if I added the salt. Sometimes that happens. Oh, butter. We haven't done the butter yet. So I'm gonna show you my sticks of butter. This is a little bit different. These come like this. Now, if I look at my butter, if you look closely, you see fractions. So just in case you can't see it, this is 1/2 cup butter. If I were to smash this inside of this cup, it would fit evenly in this cup. Now, if I take my other 1/2 cube and I were to smash it inside of my missing 1 cup, it would fill this completely. So this is equivalent to this. If I take 1 cube is equivalent to 1/2. Now, I'm not gonna add my butter right now because whenever you make cookies, your butter needs to be really soft. If it's not soft, it won't mix evenly in your mixture. You also don't wanna microwave it because if you microwave it and it melts, your cookies are gonna be flat, and we don't want flat cookies. So later on today, I will end up mixing in the butter and I'll put the eggs in and the vanilla. Okay, until I add butter and eggs and the vanilla, I'm now gonna show you the best part. So I'm gonna set my bowl off to the side, and if I look here, I am missing 1 3/4 cup chocolate chips. They're not chocolate chip cookies without the chocolate chips. Okay, so I'm gonna grab my bowl of chocolate chips here. Yummy. So I need 1 3/4. If I bring my fraction tiles back up again, I am going to put my 1 whole here. Then I have my 4ths. I need 3 of these. If I add these in, this is how much chocolate chips I need in my cookies. Is this equivalent to this? What do you notice? What are your thoughts? If it is equivalent, why? If it's not equivalent, why isn't it? Go ahead and jot some notes down. No, these are not equivalent. This has more. Think of it as this cup being full. This has more chocolate chips in it than this one. This one has less chocolate chips. So if you were to pick one of these, and let's say you're a chocolate lover like me, and you want more chocolate, which one would you choose? Of course, the 1 whole. It's got way more chocolate chips. Okay, let's go back to our chocolate chips now. We need 1 3/4. So I'm gonna grab my 1 whole, and I'm gonna measure out my 1 whole. There's 1 cup, and I'm gonna dump it in my wet ingredients. There we go. And then I need 3/4. Here's my 3/4. Count with me. 1, 2, and 3. All right, and this is what it looks like. I hope you can see that fractions and math, they're in everyday situations. And I really hope you enjoyed this. If you have any comments, please comment. If you have any glows or grows for me, go ahead and email me at miss.rebekah.watts@gmail.com. I am always trying to improve my instruction, and trying to teach on online videos without students present is sometimes kind of difficult. So if you have any advice for me, please go ahead and email. I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for joining me in my kitchen, where I turn ordinary lessons into extraordinary adventures.